Hello, my name is Hasrizal Abdul. This presentation is part of my assignment for the module Responding to Student Diversity in Education, supervised by Dr. Nora Sweetman. Khalifah Model School Primary and Khalifah Model School Secondary are non-profit schools built on the foundation of character education. I designed this workshop to include both teaching and administrative staff, which there are two key reasons behind this decision. First, teachers are the primary drivers of inclusion practice. Second, when administrators participate in teacher training, they gain empathy and practical understanding of classroom realities. According to Du Plessis 2019, this engagement helps leaders offer more relevant support through targeted resources and responsive policy making. By building continuous collaboration and feedback loops between both groups, we hopefully foster a shared commitment to inclusivity that's sustainable and system-wide. In this project, I use the design thinking methodology to guide the process intentionally from ideation to solution. As Henriksen and colleagues 2020 explain, design thinking shapes an educator's mindset, one that values iteration, openness, and responsiveness. So now let us begin with the first phase of our journey, discovery. In this phase, we focus on a key principle, empathizing. Empathy is what enables us to deeply understand the lived experiences of our students, teachers, and administrative staff. As part of our ongoing in-service training, we conducted a survey with teachers and admin staff. So the invitation was to reflect on the enablers and barriers we experience and observe in the implementation of character education in our school. We focused specifically on how language, knowledge and understanding, and skills are used in daily school life. At the same time, teachers led similar reflection session with their students to gather feedback from their perspective. And from this combined feedback, one theme stood out clearly, which is the language. So by using Lean Canvas, a tool our teachers and staff already know, we were able to clearly identify who the main customers are and, more importantly, what they actually experience. This was made possible by asking the right questions to the right persons, so we can genuinely understand and acknowledge the pain points. Only then we can move forward to designing meaningful and effective solutions. This finding is significant because what happened in our school is not an isolated case. It's part of a global trend, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean we should accept it as something normal. International research highlights the widespread and harmful reality of verbal abuse by teachers. And according to Prativi et al. 2021, verbal abuse often precedes other forms of bullying, acting as a gateway to further harm. The long-term consequences are serious. Studies by Bradgen et al. 2007 and Katzman et al. 2021 show links to lower graduation rates, behavioral challenges, and lasting emotional trauma. All of these points to one urgent need. School must adopt trauma-informed strategies. So now, let us move into phase 2, interpreting the finding. It's important to recognize that inconsistent and emotionally harmful language can disrupt a student's sense of safety in the classroom. This is where trauma-informed practice becomes essential. Let us be honest, this won't be easy. Language is deeply rooted in our culture. But here's our chance to start small and let that goodness ripple outward beyond the walls of our schools. A quick scan of recent literature shows why trauma-informed practice are gaining momentum as a promising approach to address challenges in our school. Implementation is not yet consistent. There's a lot of variation across schools, pointing to the need for a systems-level approach and consistent support for teachers, as highlighted by Wilson, Ching, and Berger 2023. Although awareness of TIP is growing, research shows teachers still lack the training and resources needed to effectively respond to trauma in their classroom, as highlighted by Rahimi et al. 2021. The needs we have identified can now be reframed as focused research questions. The first one: how do trauma-informed practice principles align with Islamic pedagogical values? Two, how can school staff adopt a shared trauma-informed communication framework? And three, how can students engage in respectful peer communication? To guide this process, I will monitor 5 key domains among teachers during ideation, which is their affective, behavioral, cognitive, competence, and awareness. According to Bong and Chua 2023, these domains are crucial in assessing teachers' readiness and capacity to create inclusive classrooms. So here's the working hypothesis. Teachers who feel emotionally connected to the goal of equitable education that aligns with Islamic values, the affective, actively apply TIP, behavioral, and critically analyze classroom scenarios with informed judgment, cognitive, are more likely to show greater competence and awareness when applying TIP principles. This leads us to a critical perspective shared by Rose 2022, who challenges us with an important question. When we discuss inclusion, an important starting point might be to ask the question, included in what? Is there a risk that a narrow interpretation of inclusion could perpetuate imperial attitudes on minority groups to confirm a limited idea of appropriate schooling? This is a very important question. While TIP is often presented as a universal framework, we must interrogate its relevance in diverse cultural and educational contexts. That's why at the core of this project is an inquiry into how TIP intersect with Islamic teaching, ensuring our approach is not only evidence-based but also culturally responsive and contextually grounded. A study shows that Muslim teachers often anchor their teaching in an Islamic worldview. This is the reason why I dedicated a specific workshop to exploring TIP principles within Islamic teaching and practices to support teachers in aligning pedagogy with both faith and student well-being. Most teachers in our schools already know that using ridicule, scoffing, or sarcasm is prohibited in Islam, as shown here on the slide. But what TIP brings is a deeper perspective. It's not just that this kind of language is religiously wrong, it can also cause trauma or re-trigger existing trauma in students. And the impact, it lasts far beyond the single classroom moment. Think of it like hammering a nail into wood. Even if you pull the nail out and patch it up, the scar remains. It's a mark that's hard to erase. As we move into phase 4 of our journey, let us quickly revisit the 6 core principles of trauma-informed practice. They are safety, trustworthiness, peer support, collaboration and mutuality, empowerment, and cultural sensitivity. As we dive into the concept of prototyping, students, teachers, and administrators came together to brainstorm practical solutions with one clear goal: to develop low-cost, high-impact tools that support our school community. Let me introduce you to TILT, the Trauma-Informed Language Toolkit. The purpose is to help teachers, staff, parents use respectful, trauma-informed language rooted in Islamic ethics and character education. Who it is for? TILT is for teachers, boarding staff in hostels, parents, and school admins. Why it matters? Because research shows that emotionally harmful language, however subtle, can re-traumatize students and undermine academic success. Wang and Lee 2020, Al-Failakawi 2024 highlighted this issue. The second one is the micro-learning series. In response to staff time constraints, we introduced a micro-learning intervention tailored for our school. These are short, weekly professional development modules designed to be practical and sustainable. So each week, staff receive a 10 to 15 minute video unpacking a key trauma-informed concept, contextualized for our school culture. The goal? To build emotional intelligence and reflective habits through regular bite-sized engagement. This approach responds directly to research highlighting teachers' burnout and gaps in self-regulation training, as mentioned by Alfaila Kawi 2024. The third one is the staff reflection circle. Staff reflection circles were designed as safe spaces for teachers to reflect on classroom challenges without fear or judgment. The goal is to build empathy, solidarity, and psychological safety among staff. These are not just nice to have, they are essential for a trauma-informed school culture to take root, as highlighted by Brunzel et al. 2016. The last one is the student peer ambassadors. This initiative trains a selected group of student leaders to become peer listeners and mediators. And the goal? Embedding trauma-informed language within student culture, but in everyday interactions. Why matters? Students often turn to each other before seeking help from adults. By training peer ambassadors in compassionate dialogue, schools embed inclusivity, respect, and emotional safety into daily student life. So when it comes to piloting, there are three key outcomes I want to highlight from this pilot. The first one, teachers reported a clearer understanding of the why and how behind the interventions. Second, while teachers valued the practical nature of the toolkit, they also requested more specific examples, particularly for boarding the hostels and co-curriculum contexts. This feedback is crucial. It gives us a clear direction for refining our resources to better meet diverse school settings. And finally, the interventions were seen as highly transferable. There was strong support to embed these strategies into staff induction, boarding procedures, and student leadership training. These insights confirm that the toolkit has potential not just as a classroom resource, but a whole school strategy for embedding trauma-informed values. So now in phase 5, our focus shifts to the implementation and evaluation of the TIP framework within character education. Evolution isn't just change, it's about strategic integration. We aim to embed TIP into the very fabric of our schools. Embedding trauma-informed language practice into the system, symbol, and stories of the school ensures it becomes sustainable and self-renewing. Evolution is not about finishing a project, it's about changing the culture. As Henriksen et al. 2020 argue, design thinking must lead to structural change if it is to create authentic transformation. And this is what we were trying to achieve. So at this stage, we come to value proposition. Although our schools are non-profit, reviewing the value proposition remains crucial, especially for our paying customers, which are the parents and guardians. They need to know why our schools are not just another school and why it's worth for them to invest in our school. By framing the school experience through 3 emotional phases, before learning, while learning, and after learning, and aligning them all with TIP and Islamic pedagogy, Khalifah Model Schools, primary and secondary, stand out as leaders in trauma-aware, spiritually grounded, and student-centered inclusive education. And to wrap up this presentation, I would like to leave you with a powerful reminder from Dr. Haim G. Ginot's book, Between Teacher and Child. I have come to a frightening conclusion. I am the decisive element in the classroom. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It is my daily mood that makes the weather. As a teacher, I possess tremendous power to make a child's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated and a child humanized or dehumanized. This quote reminds us that inclusion isn't just a framework or a policy. It starts with us, our mindset, our choice, our voice. Thank you.